the other side of the coin. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Thank you, Eli. Thank you, Max, for coming in. I'm pretty sure a few other people will come in. I'm so excited to introduce this particular individual. I've been waiting to set this one up for a little while, and I'm so glad that we've got the opportunity to set this up. He's an absolute intellect in footballing knowledge. He's got some really, really good articles. He's the owner of all things Chelsea. He's assembled I like to call it Avengers, I suppose, in recent times. It's none other than James Smith. James, how you doing, my man?
I'm great. How are you, mate? Excited to be here.
Excited as well. Likewise, I'm so happy I've got you, and the lineup of topics that I've got as well. I'm blessed to have you, man. So thank you, first of all, for coming in. Just before we start, I want to run down on the topic so that our viewers that are here at the moment live and that we'll see later on, hopefully they get a bit of a picture as to what are the things that we're going to touch on. So first of all, we're going to talk about the crazy attention FIFA ratings have been getting. We're going to then slowly move into Emerson's scenario and the injury that has happened to him in international midweek. Then we're going to talk about Callum Hudson-Odoi, and the saga continues with his contract extension. Then we're going to move into Danny Drinkwater and all the shenanigans that's been happening with him. We'll talk about transfer rumours with all the things that's happening in social media, more specifically in football Twitter. And lastly, we're going to leave quite a lot of room for the preview of Wolves versus Chelsea. So how do you feel about that lineup, James?
Yeah, sounds good. Good. Let's get started, Brilliant. I think.
Brilliant. Okay, first of all, FIFA ratings. Now, I started seeing a lot of these tweets earlier this week. And at first I was like, you know what? Who cares? I don't really give a damn about any of this stuff. But the more I started looking into it and the more tweets I started seeing, it started to make me think, wow, there's a lot of people out there that truly care about this, and so much so that they want to fight, they want to abuse, they want to insult each other. So what I want to ask you, James, is are we getting too carried away with these ratings? I saw a tweet earlier today with Chelsea. One of the guys tweeting about Chelsea saying that Chelsea is now 4.5. Oh no, it's the end of Chelsea. I just want to get your perspective on this and bring us some light on this particular matter.
Well, 4.5 stars is the end. Let's be honest. We all know it's the end. But with FIFA, it's just a case of like people grow up with the game, don't they? I mean, I was buying FIFA from FIFA 11 to FIFA 19. I'm not buying it this year, but yeah, basically people just grow up with the game. And there's a massive thing about, even when with your friends and things, you say, oh, look, this guy's like 82 rated. You've only got someone 81 rated, he's better than that. So it's always like a comparison from when you're really young. You always start comparing players off FIFA stats. I don't know why it is. I did it. I don't know why people do it, but you just do it. And then that sort of just carries on. And you get people on Twitter going about the ratings, getting overreacting to them and things. And it's just a bit of a mess, to be honest, because you get people obviously get ratings that aren't right, like Jorginho and Emerson. They're just completely wrong. We all know that.
Yeah, but ridiculous.
Like people just go on about it and say, "Oh, look, Alonso's 81 rated, must be better." It's not. It's just you can't really go off ratings because they're just not right, are they? So it's all a bit mental in terms of the overreaction from Twitter, really.
Yeah, and I guess the other question is, why are people taking this rating as if, like, for instance, what you've just said, Jorginho was, I think, 83, Emerson 77. Emerson's been one of our best players this season so far. I mean, why are people getting so, I suppose, irate about, what the rating is? And, shouldn't we just care what is happening in reality? Let the game be the game. Let's enjoy the game. And let's not worry too much about it. So I guess, what's your message to all the people out there in social media in regards to, these ratings, and don't take it as a source of truth for reality, I suppose?
No, literally just say it's just a game. That's it. Like there's nothing more to it than that. Because Emerson, we all know Emerson isn't a 7% rated player. He's at least above that, 79, 80, 81, whatever you want to do. But I think if you're going off last season, it's probably not too far-fetched that he's 77 because he didn't play much. So, but now because he's had this massive increase in form this season, people are looking back and thinking that's not good enough. That rating isn't right. We know it's not right, but from last season, maybe it is right. But this season, he's just had such a big increase, and people will remember the last few games rather than the whole of last season. So again, it's just overreaction of people not remembering the whole of last season, basing it off of the last few games, whereas FIFA base it off of the whole of last season, I think. So
that's a fantastic point that you brought up, and that was the only explanation I kind of had for Emerson as well. That surely it was based off last season and the lack of opportunities that he had, and I guess off the back of that he was given the score that he was given. And as I said in one of my earlier videos for I think SW6 Daily, or was it a separate video? I can't remember. I think it might have been a video in my channel itself, where I said, let's not worry too much about these ratings, and some of these things will change massively in the next season. So it doesn't really mean anything. So let's just enjoy the game and let's not worry about it. All right, well, that's enough with FIFA ratings. I think the message is let's let it just.
It's just a game. Let it be.
It's just a game.
Matter.
Let it be. Exactly right. All right, next up, Emerson. Now, we heard in the second game of Italy's international match. I didn't really watch the game. I'm not really sure exactly when he was taken off.
I think it was like someone early on in like the 8th minute or something. So
oh wow, so
it was pretty.
Really
I think it was like a precaution thing. I think.
Wow,
rather than it being like a serious one.
Cool. Now, I'm not quite certain. I guess we have to wait till Lampard's press conference sometime tomorrow. But let's just say, they do rest him. How much of an impact do you think a player like Emerson is now for us if he was to miss a particular game or two, let's just say? What does that mean for us?
Emerson's become one of our best players without a doubt. The improvement from last season to this season is fast. No, I think no one else in the squad has probably improved as much as he has. So now the gap between him and Alonso is even bigger than it was last season. It was still huge last year. So the drop off is huge because Alonso he's awful. So we're not. If he comes in, we are screwed. That's basically what it is. Emerson he's so much more fluid in attack than Alonso, and obviously he's quicker, can come back. The problem with Alonso we've got is that he'll run out the pitch aimlessly, go into the box, and then not come back. Whereas Emerson's got the energy to burst up and down that flank. And then if you look at the opposite side with Azpilicueta, that's not what he's got. So if we've got Alonso and Azpilicueta playing, they're going to target both sides as opposed to just targeting Azpilicueta. So it will balance out slightly, I think, if Alonso plays, but it won't be good for us really because we've got 2 points of weakness then.
Yeah, no, absolutely right, man. With Emerson, if you look at all the goals that we've conceded, it's been mostly on the right hand side for us. And I'm not saying Emerson's not been. I guess at the end of the day, it's a collective matter. We haven't kept a single clean sheet, but at least we haven't looked so vulnerable, I suppose, in that left-hand side, and someone like him missing would be massive for us. So let's just say he wasn't to play against Wolves. What's your thoughts on the left-hand side? Would it be Alonso? Would you try someone else?
I wouldn't want to play Alonso. He's my last resort, absolutely, in every single scenario. He's always the last choice. But I think he will play. That's the thing. He's one of those ones where Maatsen is a good up-and-coming left-back, but to throw him into the deep end, starting against Wolves away in the Premier League, it's one of those ones where it's not really realistic. And it's one of those things you see flying around on Twitter say Maatsen has to start, Alonso's rubbish. We all know Alonso isn't good enough, but he does have experience, and that's what Lampard will probably lean towards. I know Lampard does play youth a lot, but I can't see him starting anyone other than Alonso if Emerson's out, to be honest.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think, as you said, experience is a major factor here. As much as he may not be the best at a back four, being a left back. He's a classic wing back. The example that you've said, he'll warm up, but he won't have the energy to come back. That's exactly the sort of style of a wing back, I suppose. But for a left back, you just need to be up and down all the time. But nonetheless, you'd go with the experience. But how about a thought of someone like Spilicueta, let's say, transfers to left back, and we get, let's say, someone like Tomori. I don't know if Reece James will be fit enough.
I think Reece James is literally only just come back to training. So, but that's what I was thinking about Tomori at right back, because I think he played there a couple of seasons ago with Hull. So he was on loan there for about, I think, 6 months from January onwards, and he was their first choice right back. So he has got experience of playing there. And even if we move Azpilicueta over to the left, then that could be a situation. But it's one of those ones where do you rejig the entire defence just to stop one player coming in? So I don't know if you do that. I don't think Lampard will do that, because Tomori looked good at centre-back against Sheffield United.
Yeah,
so
I think
the thing is, he probably deserves another start. And then again, do we know if Rudiger's coming back? So I don't know. If Rudiger comes in, Tomori will shift over. Azpilicueta shifts over. That's 3 players all changing positions. It's probably too much for one game.
I think you're spot on, man. It's just way too many changes to accommodate for one position. And someone like Alonso, if it's just the one game that we need him to sort of plug in, why not? Let's just give him a shot. Hopefully, he does a job. One thing
I want to say with Emerson as well is that people have been saying that he's been obviously massively improved, but I think I looked at about 50% of our attacks come down Azpilicueta's side, and only 30% are down Emerson's side. So he hasn't had as much defensive responsibility this season. So he's obviously looked a bit better than he maybe could have been. But that's why I say that as well. If Emerson's out, people are saying we don't need to sign a left back because we've got Maatsen coming through. But we do. I think Matisse was going on about it as well. Yeah, that Emerson rant video where he was going on about we need to sign someone, but we do, because Alonso's not good enough. Maatsen's very inexperienced, and you look at the top teams in the league; they've always got the experienced cover. So, yeah, he's looked really good in attack, but defensively he hasn't had much to do. So we'll see once Reece James comes back in, the balance will be a bit more equal in terms of teams attacking us. So I think we'll really see what Emerson's made of then. But it's been a good start, I think, so far.
No, you're right, man. I think, prior to, I suppose, getting that reality shock from that video from Matisse, I was also under the impression that, for the time being, we've got other, like, I guess we need to prioritize what positions we should get first up. But that video sort of woke me up thinking, injuries are inevitable. And we just need to buy players left, right, and center. We need a backup left back. We need more, quality starting lineup people in center backs and striker roles and whatnot. And we just need players. That's it. Full stop. If we want to compete, we just need players. And left back is one position where if Emerson's injured, then we're pretty screwed. So we need someone there. So yeah, it is what it is. First of all, quick shout out again to Eli, Max. Eli's been writing quite a lot of comments here. I just want to read out a couple of them. Playing Alonso is suicide. Thanks, Eli. Thank you for that, mate. Let's now move swiftly into Callum Hudson-Odoi. Now, James, I don't know about you, man. I like this player a lot. Obviously, for the talent that he hasn't really proven anything in the Premier League yet, but I'm now slowly starting to get over all of this stuff about his contract extension. Some people are saying he's already signed it. It's just all PR stunt, whatever. I don't really care anymore. For me, what's very important is I just want him to now get fit, come back, and really have a stunning season for us. What's your thoughts about all this? Do you pay attention with his contract extension saga anymore? Does it matter to you? What's your thoughts?
Obviously, I'm really a massive Hudson-Odoi fan. I want him to sign, but I'm getting bored of it now. It needs to be over soon. So he just needs to focus on his football. But when he comes back, I don't want this. There's obviously a load of pressure on him because he's had such a good season last year. Lampard's come in, so he's going to get more minutes. There'll be a lot of pressure on him to perform, especially with this the new contract, which he's on huge wages for an 18-year-old. So it's like, I think it's 180k. So that is a lot of money for someone his age. So he's going to have pressure to perform, and it's a gamble from Chelsea, because we've had the situation with Drinkwater, who we'll speak about a bit in a minute, but with the high average players on high wages, if Hudson-Odoi doesn't perform, he doesn't realise his potential. We've got another player there. He's on massive wages and not really worth it. So it's a big gamble from Chelsea, I think. But it's one we kind of had to take, really, because he's got the potential to be so good for us. It's kind of one that you had to do, but hopefully it works out.
Yeah, man, I couldn't agree more with you in terms of the wage demand. I know Con, he's another famous character in football Twitter, recently tweeted that, when you get that kind of wages, you better be delivering goals and you better be killing it, or else it just doesn't justify that level of money. And I agreed with that, and I said the same thing, that if you're gonna earn that much money, you're gonna have to produce. But a lot of people don't like this, James. They hate listening to this, and the way I react to that is, let's say, for instance, myself, where I work, if I'm getting the highest money, level of money across my department, obviously the expectation is that I will be the top performer. I'm the one who's going to be expected to do more sort of quality work or extra work or whatnot, and that's why I get paid more. Why is it any different when certain fans say the same thing about Callum Hudson-Odoi, and he's demanding that sort of wages? Why is it so different when we say, well, you better be banging in goals, mate? Why do our fan base sometimes think, well, no, that's not justified?
I think it's because he's a young player, isn't it? If he was like 25, 26, he was demanding all that, then they'd be like, okay, yeah, he's got to perform. But I think it's still about his development as well, which I still think he needs to perform. I think he needs to be getting 15 goals and assists combined this season to really sort of progress onwards and prove that he's going to be worth that money. But people will be like thinking about the progression and the development of him. And obviously he's coming back from the injury. So it's one of those ones where you've got to look at the context of it. This isn't a player that is fully fit coming back into the side. He's going to take a while to get going. He might lose something with the injury, because it's an Achilles injury. You sometimes lose your explosiveness or your pace a little bit. So he might have to adapt his game a little bit. So it's not going to be like a smooth sailing season for him. So the expectations are really high with the wages, but we've got to be realistic and think that if he doesn't perform as well as we expect him to, then maybe it's just a case of him adapting again to the season, adapting to Lampard's style. He will suit Lampard's style, I think, but it involves a lot of running. And with the Achilles injury, it will take time to build that back up again. So we can't expect too much too soon from him, I think.
Yeah, no, I think, I was discussing with another person maybe a month ago about Callum Hudson-Odoi and him getting back into the squad. I feel this Lampard style, which is intense pressing, a lot of running, a lot of tracking back, people tend to forget that he demands a lot from his wingers to track back and help out the fullbacks. How do you think Callum will cope with that? Because obviously he's still young. He's got the injury. Last season, there was one particular game against Liverpool where he looked really out of sorts. The level was, you can see the level between top-notch players and someone like Callum Hudson-Odoi, who's a potential, who's a talent, but he's obviously not a finished product yet. How do you think he's going to cope with that level of pressure? And Lampard always talks about condition. He wants the player to be conditioned for the scenario. So how do you think he's going to cope with that?
Yeah, that's why I mentioned about him adapting, because we saw against Man United at Old Trafford last year, I think it was Man United or Liverpool, whatever the game it was, that he was defensively wasn't that great, because he came back and he got beaten a few times. He's not like a Pedro or a Willian in terms of coming back. Even though Willian is dreadful, he does help out in defence a bit. So Hudson-Odoi is a bit like Hazard in that sense, that he's very much an attacking player, and the defensive side of the game isn't something that he's too good at. So if he works on, the one thing I say, if he works on is protecting the ball he could be really good, because when Hazard came back from into the deeper areas, he'd get on the ball, he'd protect the ball, and he'd win a foul. So if Hudson-Odoi is going to sort of adapt his game to that sort of thing, that's how he can help out defensively, in terms of just once he gets on the ball, winning fouls in that sort of positions, and then we can build from there. Because he's not going to be one of those wingers that can come back and get into a tackle and win those sort of things, I think. So, it's going to be adapting for him in Lampard's, in terms of defensively. It'd be fine attacking. He suits Lampard's attacking style perfectly. But defensively, he's going to have adapting. And it's still obviously his development, because he's still only 18. So
Yeah.
So
You're right. Absolutely right. Before we close up on Callum Hudson-Odoi, quick shout out to Chelsea Forever. Thank you for joining us, mate. And thank you for subbed and liked, by the way. Thank you heaps for that, mate. Really appreciate that. Just quickly before we wrap up on Callum Hudson-Odoi, James, what do you think? He's signing, or this is
it'll be done. I think
nice.
I'm hoping it's being announced today.
Oh, wow.
I'm thinking, well, it all came out yesterday, didn't it? With I don't want to believe it too much, but it would make sense that it's announced before he comes back tomorrow, because he's playing for the development squad tomorrow. So I've heard rumours over the last few months that they wanted to make sure that the announcement was done before he made his return. So it would make sense that it's today, but it's Chelsea, so it'll probably be in like December.
If it is today, what time in particular you reckon generally these sort of announcements happen?
It'll be evening, won't it? I think probably 6 o'clock UK, that sort of time.
But I should be. I won't be up. I'll definitely be sleeping at that time.
Yeah, but it's Chelsea. It could be any time, but I'd imagine it's within the next week. Surely it can't drag on too much longer.
Or we've
been saying that for months, haven't we? But
we're gonna then have to retweet Matisse's tweet from yesterday, where he just stacked up all the months.
And a Rudy with that thing like that.
All right, on to the next topic. This one really, really annoyed the hell out of me, and it's actually irked a lot of my followers as well. I think my tweet went to somewhere around 350 likes on that one, and a lot of people didn't appreciate my tweet. Danny Drinkwater. Now, he didn't feature at all under Sarri.
No.
Sarri was quite clear. He said, mate, see you later. Do whatever you want to do. Find another club. He didn't. He had a nice big season-long holiday. Good on him. He looked after his shop. Great. Good on him for that as well. This season, once again, failed to impress. Goes to Burnley on loan, and then recently had an incident where he went to a bar, tried to pick up another player's girlfriend, saying that she's going to come home with me tonight and whatnot. And later on, he got beat up outside the bar by a few guys. And now I think he's injured for a little while. He's been heavily beat up. What's your thoughts on this guy,
just
man? I mean,
Eli's comments.
Seriously, I'm over this guy. Like, a lot of people have commented in my tweet, "Oh, what about John Terry? Do you forget about all the shenanigans he got up to?" I mean, seriously, this is the lane that we're going to go down now. Comparing him with John Terry. What's your thoughts on Danny Drinkwater and where his career is going? I suppose at the moment.
Well, I think it's just his mentality. It's just really bad, isn't it? Like Sarri obviously said before last season that he wasn't going to be involved, and he's happy to just sit there on his 100k a week, which is more the board's fault than anything. But I don't think unless he was sort of forced out by Lampard, I don't think he would have left again. So it's his mentality that's really not impressed me at all. And he was obviously getting into trouble off the pitch in terms of he had that drink driving incident a few months back, and he's got this recent one with the fight outside the bar. So he's sort of lost it a bit since he left Leicester. But I think it's more of a bit of a shock in terms of going from starting at Leicester, sort of a whole new it's same country, but it's different culture, isn't it? In terms of being now fourth choice, being on the bench every single week. All he has to do is turn up for training. He's not playing. So he doesn't really, it seems like he doesn't really take care of himself as well. And he should be, he's representing a much bigger club. He's got higher expectations on his shoulder, but he's not I don't think he's adapted well to the change, really.
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, where does this player go now, James? I suppose, I don't know if he's going to get much of an opportunity in Burnley as well. Burnley, they play all right football. Does he get a chance in Burnley, or what happens there?
Well, if he's injured for however long, I think it was 6 weeks I saw, then that takes us up to, mid-November or just before then or something like that. And his loan's only till January. I don't know if it's got an option for an extension or not. So he's one of those ones where I think we're just going to be stuck with him, because it's the situation where I said earlier about Hudson-Odoi. If he doesn't prove his worth, we've got an average player on big wages, and Drinkwater is one of those players. Average player, big wages. We can't really get rid of him unless it's a loan. And even then, we're still probably paying some of his wages. So it's going to be a bit of a trouble to get him off the wage bill, I think, at least permanently.
Yeah, you're right. I'm pretty sure we're paying part of that loan fee. I don't think Burnley would be paying all of that.
The thing as well, who would come in to buy him? Because Marina's going to want a lot of the money back, because she's like that with Bakayoko as well. She wanted 40 million, even though he's dreadful. So it's like she will want a lot of money back for him. And with the wages, teams aren't going to pay a big fee and then pay the wages. So I think he's just going to be living at Cobham for a while, isn't he? I think.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much what it's going to be. And he looks like that type of character. And I guess I don't want to be rude towards players, but I feel like he's that type of a player where he doesn't mind. He'll sit down and he'll earn the money. He's not bothered about that. Eli has just mentioned, let's sell Danny Drinkwater to some BS club in Serie A. Thanks, Eli, for that. Just coming up with some comments, Eli. Thank you very much.
Who would sign him, though? That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
who would want to buy him? You can't just give him to a club.
Do you reckon our old Sarri might take him in Juventus?
If anyone's going to take him, it would be Conte. But
that's right. True, Conte in Inter Milan. But I don't know. I don't think so. Danny Drinkwater.
I can't see him going.
Yeah, it's pretty much over for him unless he lowers his wages and ends up going to a lower sort of ranked team in Premier League or even in Championship. Nonetheless, good luck to Danny Drinkwater. I hope he finds his way out of this mess that he's in and can concentrate on football. Let's now move on to transfer rumours. Quite a lot of rumours that's happened in recent times. Carefree Youth started this last week, talking about the few players that he wants. He mentioned Atal, Neres, Chilwell, Sancho, a few other ones. For me, the one, if we went to have a ban right now and we were to get a player, for me, the out-and-out player that I would get right now, without a doubt, is Jadon Sancho. Like, for me,
100%.
He's the one. Yeah, he's the one straight up, superstar for me that would improve our game a lot going forward. He's lethal in terms of pace. He's got good crossing abilities, great dribbling, and he's a decent finisher. But nonetheless, what are some of the rumors that you fancy at the moment that you're seeing in football Twitter and in social media in general that may possibly happen?
I think one that's probably kind of likely is Atal from Nice. We've got Azpilicueta, who's obviously declining a bit. I think Chelsea want to freshen up the right back spot a bit. We've obviously got Reece James coming through, but Azpi's clearly on the decline, and we're going to need someone who can come in and offer some cover there and push Reece James. It's one of those ones where if we're going to make a signing, I don't want to be like just a backup player. Atal is going to be good enough to start. Reece James is going to be good enough to start. It's a case of them, they can push each other, and he's very versatile as well. That's how he can play on both wings as well, which, if the ban is lifted in January, means that we can get Willian out, which is the main reason to sign him, really. In terms of other players we've been linked with, we've got Guy has been rumoured recently for left back. I'm pretty sure Alonso will be heading out either in January or in the summer, but I think he's got €100 million buyout clause, Gaia, so that's going to be a really, really tricky one to get done. Chilwell is another one we've been linked with, 70 million plus, a lot of money when Emerson's a pretty decent option. That's probably the left backs we've been linked with, or the fullbacks we've been linked with. I'd be looking at Grimaldo as well, from Benfica. He'd probably be, I think he's going to be about 50 million or something, but he's another one that's not really been linked. He's more of a twister rumour, isn't he? But there's someone I'd probably my first choice for left back. In terms of centre back, we need one, I think. Romagnoli would be my preferred choice. He's definitely something we need. He's a leader. We haven't got any leaders because we've got Zuma, Christensen, Rudiger, Samori, all of them.
Max is gonna like you for that one, by the way. Romagnoli, he loves that.
Yeah. No, Romagnoli for me, he's just he's improving year on year. He's I think he's only 24, so so he's got a lot of room for improvement still. Already a top talent, leader, captain of Milan, but that's one of those ones where I think it's a dream one, probably not realistic because I know he loves Milan and Milan don't want to sell him. So that just kind of brings me to Diaz, who I think he's at Benfica, I think again. So another Portuguese one. He's a young up and coming defender. He's probably more realistic than Romagnoli. But yeah, Max, I made you start wanting Romagnoli actually. Yeah, I've been the Romagnoli propaganda for a while. But I think Diaz is probably more realistic, but especially if we don't have Champions League, which is probably likely. So yes, fullbacks and centre backs definitely we need to improve on. So for me, we get Attal, Romagnoli, and Grimaldo, but most likely it'll be Diaz. But then the attack is where we really need to strengthen for me as well. Midfield, I wouldn't touch. It's the last place we need to strengthen. We've got really, really solid midfield. So So in attack, we're linked with Zaha as that's the main one we've actually had solid links to. I don't want him because he's I know he's 26. Turning 27 soon, so he's entering his prime, but he'd be like 80 million and he's never been that consistent. I get why we'd link with him because he's obviously got experience in terms of Premier League, and I guess the club maybe don't want to be signing someone young in terms of we've got Hudson-Odoi and Pulisic with Willian and Pedro probably heading out, so they're probably looking at Zaha as someone with more experience. But I see him as the most realistic one, unfortunately. But Sancho is obviously the dream. That's the dream signing. I'd pay up to like 150 to 200 million for Sancho. He's a must get. He's a must get. And then strikers, the two I'm looking at is Moussa Dembele from Lyon and Lautaro Martinez from Inter. But again, it's one of those. Yeah, it's one of those ones where we'll see how Tammy does. A lot of the signings are based on how we'll do this season because we obviously got a lot of young players coming through. If Mount proves that he's Premier League quality, then our guys can leave, and we can get some decent players in attack. So yeah, it's a lot of it depends on how we perform this season as to what kind of players we need. Because if Tammy only scores a couple of goals, we're going to need a world-class striker. If he turns up and scores 15, 20 goals, we're going to need someone who can push him, someone like a Dembele or Martinez or something that offers something different. So, those are the sort of ones I'd look at now. But obviously, it'll probably change in terms of how people perform over the season.
No,
I'm not going to dab Michaela. I'm sorry. That's not happening.
First of all, thank you, Michaela, for joining. A couple of quick shout-outs again for Max, Eli, Michaela. Max and Eli have written that. Let's just quickly read out some of these things. Eli said, let's get Sancho, Attal, and maybe even get someone such as Hakimi. You know what? The first time when I saw Hakimi, and I followed him for a little while for those consequent matches with Dortmund, he looked amazing. And then midway through, he didn't look that good. Some of his play looked a bit loose. But yeah, I do understand why you'd want him. He is quite exciting left-back prospect. Max Grimaldo, cheaper but can give competition for the left back. No, absolutely right. Something that James has mentioned as well. Just on this topic as well, James, a couple of things I want to mention. One is Pep Guardiola in his second season, if you recall, he strengthened his wing back, his fullbacks, and I think he also got a fresh defender, like a young defender who can run, who can play the ball. So I guess in order to start the rebuild, I suppose you've got to start from the back, and you create a solid foundation first. Then you slowly move into the next window and you buy your strikers and your wingers and whatnot. As we see with Pep at the moment, he's buying some really, really good players like Bernardo Silva and Mahrez and whatnot. Obviously, he didn't buy all of these players in the first season. So that's one thing. Second thing that I want to call out is, I don't know how you feel about this, and this may go down as an unpopular opinion. I feel all the stuff that Lampard's been saying about youth and whatnot, and obviously that's the sort of narrative this season, I feel like he himself deep down probably doesn't believe that all of these kids are going to make it, and he needs to buy players, and he needs to go out there and purchase. Do you think that's a fair assumption, I suppose?
Yeah, kind of. I'd say he believes in them all, because he's one of these. He's a manager that believes in young players and believes they can reach their potential if he pushes them enough. But I think he knows that to push them, he needs to bring in some top talent. So what I always say is that if the young players are good enough, if you bring in another top player, they're not going to have a problem with it, because they'll be able to push on and become even better than they already are. Because a lot of signings are, even if you sign someone as a backup, they're going to be pushing the players that are already there. So even if they don't play, so you look at Mahrez at City, he doesn't play at all. But look at the performances of Bernardo Silva and Raheem Sterling since he's come in. They've gone up because the people that you buy in to be in the squad push the players that you're starting. So even if you buy a 60 million player like City done that doesn't play, it improves your squad anyway. So yeah, it's all about getting in players that improve them, and if the young players are good enough, then they'll step up.
Absolutely right, man. I think it's so true. If you want to compete for the bigger titles, and I keep referring back to Matisse's video, if you want to be competing against Man City and Liverpool and all the other top clubs around the world, you need to not just have a top class starting 11, but also a top class bench as well, so that when one is injured or one is taken off, you're not losing quality. You're either maintaining it, or if not, you're actually improving it. So that's where we've got to get to. That
will take a few years to get to. Absolutely. In terms of signing. So people who are expecting that to happen now, that's not gonna be that. City and Liverpool are way ahead in terms of their quality. We might get a few players in who can help out, but it won't be in terms of every position. We've got a world class or a very, very deep, capable backup for a couple of seasons yet.
Absolutely right, man. I know a lot of people are sort of misguided about this. They think, "Oh, can't wait till the ban's over and we're going to buy like 8-9 players." We're not going to do
4 or 5 is probably the ideal number.
You know what? If we get 4 or 5, oh my god, I'm just gonna that's fantastic. I'm thinking more 2 or 3 world-class quality players, and then you slowly, because 4 or 5, yes, it's fantastic, but that's a lot of players to integrate into the team, understand.
But then if it's needed, that's the thing. It's not like the normal window. I'd say 2 or 3 is good, but we've had a year off, so 4 or 5 is the standard we need to be setting.
No, you're right, man. I couldn't agree more. And I hope Chelsea does show the desire and go out there and do all of that business. That's, I guess, enough with the transfer rumours. Let's now talk about Wolves versus Chelsea. That's the big game coming up this weekend. Quick shout out again to Michaela, who's been writing a lot of stuff. Let's read out some of these things. Eli knows what's up. Thanks, Michaela.
He's trying to get me to dab. It's not happening.
A lot of people are asking you to dab, man. Eli, dab, James, dab. I think
I'm not being turned into a meme.
maybe just before we wrap up, you're gonna have to dab just once, James, just one time.
No,
just for our channel.
Happen. It won't happen.
Okay,
that'll be all over Twitter then.
Yeah, I can imagine all the people that's gonna snip at this particular thing, and it's just gonna be a meme all over. Nonetheless, let's talk about Wolves versus Chelsea. First of all, James, before we get into lineups and possible, predicted score lines and whatnot. How do you actually feel about this match, man? Going into this, like I've recently done an analysis of it yesterday, which I posted out, and I watched the whole game of Wolves versus Everton. I know it's just a one-off game. I haven't really watched a lot of Wolves game this season, but I feel like personally we've got enough in our armory to get the Wolves boys, because they look vulnerable. Yes, they're a very good team. They're fantastic in counter. They generally sit very deep with 5 at the back and 3 in front of them, and then 2 people who just stay in front for the counter. But they can be beat. They're not like we should be scared of them. So, what's your thoughts in regards to initially, I suppose, our feeling towards this match?
I'm not confident.
Talk about just putting the downer.
I'm just trying to be realistic here. We drew with Sheffield United, and since then we've got Emerson is a doubt, Kovacic is a doubt, Kante is a doubt, Reece James isn't back, Hudson-Odoi isn't back, Rudiger might start. So we've got half our team that even played against Sheffield United that are out, and the players that are coming in, Alonso, are going to worsen that even more. So we are now a worse team than we were against Sheffield United, and Wolves are a much better team. But if Kante and Kovacic are there, we'll be fine. But I would kind of rest Kante, because if he's not 100%, I don't want to risk him, especially with Valencia and Liverpool coming up. So if he's then at 100% for those 2, then we can rest him for the Carabao Cup game. So he only has a couple of games in, then gets another rest and things. So I'll be careful with Kante for now. Hopefully Kovacic is there. But Wolves are a dangerous side, because we aren't amazing at breaking teams down. Especially last season, even with Hazard, we had issues with breaking teams down there in a deep block, and they play 3 at the back with their wing backs, and they will sit deep. They always play on the counter, home or away, so it's going to be a struggle for us, and especially with Azpilicueta and Alonso in fullback, because Emerson I doubt is going to play. Their wing backs are quick, so we're going to get caught out there. So I am worried, to be honest, because
how do you reckon we break them?
The wings is the key thing. Midfield not so much, but the wings is where they attack. So, and our weaknesses are on the fullbacks. So
yeah, how do you reckon we will break them? I suppose with what you've just said, they're going to sit back. What do you reckon one of the best strategies that we could deploy? For me, I was thinking we've got to stretch them out, because the match that I saw against Everton, they were so compact and narrow. They want the game to be in the middle, so that they can just grab onto you and win the ball and then counter. As soon as it stretches out and goes wide, that's when they start panicking. Do you reckon that's probably the policy for us as well?
Yeah, we've got to stretch them out, because they will play narrow in defence, and then they'll bomb up forwards when they're in attack. So we need to get our fullbacks wide, but that's the danger, because if we're getting our fullbacks high and wide when they're on the counter attack, they're just going to breeze past them, and we're going to be left with 2 centre backs who don't know what they're doing at the back. So Wolves are a really tricky team. I don't think you should underestimate them, really.
Man, I'm getting scared now. Thanks for that, James. I was getting excited, but now I'm really scared.
You can't ever be excited for a game this season. That's not how it works.
That's true. This is Chelsea. What's that GIF that's going around? It's
a Chelsea thing.
It's a Chelsea thing. That's it. It's a Chelsea thing. Yeah. Okay. Well, what's your? I suppose you've mentioned, their wing backs, the way they play. Do you reckon we're going to play our the thing that we've been doing this whole season, 4-2-3-1, or do we mix things up?
I think we need to play 4-3-3. We can't. 4-2-3-1 is just so rigid. I can see why we would play it, because we might need that a bit more rigidity against the Wolves side. But if Kante and Kovacic are out, then we're going to have Barkley or Mount in deep midfield, which is just not. So if they're both out, we're going to have a midfield of Jorginho, Mount, and Barkley. I don't think Gilmour will start. So it's really imperative that at least Kovacic is fit. If not, then whatever formation we play, we're going to struggle in midfield.
Yeah. What's the go with Kovacic? Is he?
It's an inflamed Achilles, so I don't really know too much about it, but I assume that if he trains with an inflamed Achilles, it has a higher chance of rupturing. I'm guessing that's how it'd work. But I don't. There's been no update from Chelsea, so I'm guessing it can't be too bad. But I don't know if they'll risk him.
Right. Because for me, 4-3-3 really works if he's actually fit as well. Because I'm thinking you'd play Jorginho himself and Kante, but as you said, if Kante's not fully fit as well, they're really, really screwed in the middle. All right, let's look at the lineup. We've talked about the strategies and where we can hurt them, where they can hurt us. What's your lineup looking like, considering the injuries that you think are still in play?
Right, I would go with Kepa, obviously. I'd want to be dropping Aspi I put Tomori at right back. He's had experience there before, so he can do a job, even if it's just for a game until Reece James is back fit. Centre backs, Zuma hasn't been impressing me at all recently. So I'd bring Rudiger back. He's had 2 games, I think, with the academy, so he should be ready for this. And then bring Christensen back into the team. Because they play quite well together. Obviously Emerson's the ideal, but again, I don't think he's going to be risked because it is a muscle injury, and you don't want to be playing only just a week after that. So that'll be Alonso. I mean, I'd play Maatsen, but it won't happen. So that'll be Alonso. Midfield is obviously Jorginho, Kovacic and Mount for me, but Kovacic again is a doubt, so Barkley has to play. And then I'd go with Pedro and Pulisic and Abraham. So it's more of a sort of a team that it kind of picks itself out of necessity. There's not many options we've got really.
No, you're right. Who'd you mention again for your midfield?
Jorginho, Barkley and Mount is probably what's gonna what it's going to be unless Kovacic is fit.
That scares me, man. That midfield scares me
because it's just not defensive. That's why I'd be playing Pulisic, Pedro, and Mount, because at least then you've got 3 players who are hardworking and can sort of help out defensively a little bit. Because we are weak in that midfield otherwise. Because Kovacic and Kante give you so much defensively, as well as an attack. So Barkley's just a nothing player, isn't he? So
that's a whole new.
At least Pedro and Pulisic and Mount will run all day and things. So I don't think it's going to be pretty, to be honest.
No, you're right. Let's just quickly read some of these lineups that some of our lovely guests have been writing. So Max has written. Hits like Kepa, Tomori, Aspi, Christensen, Emerson, Jorginho, Barkley, Mount, Pulisic, Abraham, Pedro. That's scarily the same as you, Shay.
I need Aspi in centre back though.
Yes. That's the change up for Max over there.
I'd be putting Rudiger in just because Aspi's so slow. Against the counter attack of Wolves, I'd be scared with him at centre back.
Absolutely right. Eli has said that he'd go with 4-3-3. Kepa, Aspi, Tomori, Christensen, Emerson, Kova, Jorginho, Barkley. That's if Kova is fit. Pulisic on the right. Abraham and Mount. Fair enough. And Michaela need a 4-3-3. Be more compact in the middle. If Willian starts, I'll headbutt my wall. Okay, thanks, Michaela, for that. Now, I suppose
Max just said something about the diamond formation.
Right. Yes,
that could be interesting because then you could have Pulisic as the number 10 in that. And
you know what? I wouldn't mind seeing
that would actually be a decent shout, to be honest.
Yeah, it's something. And I recently said something in Twitter that I really want Lampard to sometimes just mix things up so crazily.
Yeah, and that actually be quite good against the Wolves' defence because they play 3 centre-backs. So if you've got 2 strikers for them to deal with that, that actually might happen,
Yeah, and I want him to not just confuse the hell out of himself, but consequently confuse the hell out of the opposition as well. And I feel like something like that, a diamond formation, could just do that. And watching the game against Everton that Wolves had, Everton bombed in a lot of crosses throughout the match, and there were a lot of late runs from Moise Kane. That's his name,
Yeah.
I think. Yeah, and Richarlison. So what they did was they didn't always just stay in the box. They waited for the cross and they ran into it because the Wolves' defense was so deep and just stayed static. When the runners came in, they just could not react to it. And so many times there was some, nice crosses that would just be drifting into the box, and these Everton players would just run into it with full force. So that wouldn't be a bad shout actually. And having
only thing I just thought of that is a very narrow formation, and Wolves will play narrow, so that'll really. And then again, you've got to push your fullbacks up and leaves the centre backs exposed again. So any system we play is going to be tricky with the players we've got fit, to be honest.
Yeah, no, fair shout.
I think the 4-2-3-1 or 4-1-2-1-2 even could is a different idea, isn't it? So
absolutely, man. Score prediction before we wrap this up, James. What do you think? And throw in some scorers as well.
I think 1-1. I think Tammy will get one. I think.
Nice.
And then they'll probably get some random centre back coming up from a corner and heading it in, because we just can't defend. So that's what I'm going with. They'll get a counter attack, get a corner, whip one in, and then Cody will get a header.
I love how you just create these nice visions, which just depresses the hell out of me, man. Like, we get Tammy goal, we're all excited, and then somehow we get a jammy 90th minute equaliser.
The realism comes in.
The realism comes in, but I hope it's not something like that. But yeah, I think, look, 1-1, I was actually thinking maybe a narrow victory for us, whether it be 2-1, 1-0. I don't think it'll be 1-0. I know I can't really picture us keeping a clean sheet, but 2-1, 3-2 perhaps. We're pretty bad.
Yeah, we don't really concede one. We normally concede more than that. So
yeah, and we can score. That's the thing. We know.
We can score, but they're missing Bolly as well at centre back, so there'll be a centre back down.
Exactly.
So something to exploit maybe, but that's why maybe the 4-1-2-1-2 could be good if you get Giroud on that centre back who's only just come in, then that gives him a tough start to life, doesn't it? So
yeah, and someone said the other day, and I wasn't even aware of this, Wolves haven't won a game this season yet in Premier League. Is that true?
They?
Apparently they've not won yet.
I'm going to have a look at that.
Can some of our viewers, Max, Eli, Michaela, anyone, do you guys mind just telling us, has Wolves won today? I mean, this season yet in Premier League?
Yeah, I don't know. Have they? Where are Wolves? No, they haven't. They got 3 draws and a loss.
Wow. So this is a big game for them. Yeah. So I'm thinking we're a good shout to catch them on this particular moment where they haven't won a game. They seem to be leaking goals as well. We're leaking goals too, but we're probably in the right moment to catch these guys now and hopefully continue their rot and not let them win. I'll be so devastated their first win comes against us if that's the case.
Can't happen. We lost away to them last season, didn't we? So
we did. Cool. For me, I think I'll back a narrow win. I'm thinking either 2-1, 3-2. 3-2 would be fantastic. It'll be a bit of a heart attack for all of us in the fan base, but nonetheless, 3 points.
I think we'll win if everyone's fit. If Kante and Kovacic are there, or just one of those. Yeah. But if not, I think we'll be overrun in midfield. So that's why I went for a draw.
No, fair shout. I think if it's a midfield of Jorginho, Barkley, and Mount, wow.
Yeah.
Good luck to us. Nonetheless. Well, James, thank you heaps for all this, lovely sort of discussion that we've had with all these topics. Just before we go out, I'll definitely give you the time, but just before we do that as well, once again, massive shout out to Max, Michaela, Eli. I think Chelsea Forever was there as well, not that long ago. And thank you guys for all these comments. Eli has gone for 5-2 Chelsea win. Thank you, Eli. You are one absolute superstar. I like that. Michaela, 0 wins. I think he's talking about Wolves there. And Max, nope, they haven't, sitting near the relegation zone. And lastly, but not least, everyone is asking for the dab.
I'm not doing it. It's okay.
Max has actually said don't dab. But Michaela
Max knows what's up.
Yeah, Michaela is badly wanting it. He's on his knees. He's on his knees, James. So
No,
does the man get it? Cool. All right, James. Before we go, let us know everything that you're up to. I know you're very, very, very busy with all things Chelsea. This is your moment. Talk to us.
Yeah.
Tell us.
So if you're not following already, which I think everyone in here is, but if you're watching afterwards, then All Things Chelsea on Twitter is at allthingschels_, which is my publication for articles. We've got Miz who does his analysis with his GIFs on there. We've got videos coming from some people and things. So we try and get articles out daily. So a lot of good stuff coming from All Things Chelsea. So and obviously me on Twitter at FTBL James _. So that's where you can find my stuff, guys.
Brilliant. Thank you heaps. And I'll post all this stuff in this link anyway with the Twitter handles, and whoever does end up watching, they can hopefully follow those particular follow your All Things Chelsea and yourself as well. And thank you, James, for this lovely episode. I feel like we've had a fantastic discussion, talked about a lot of good things, and hope to see you again in this channel.
Oh,
man.
definitely. I'm definitely coming back.
Nice.
No doubt about that.
Nice.
If you have me.
Yeah, I definitely will, man. I definitely will. I'm thinking next time I want to actually. I've been doing duets, so next time I want to have at least 3 or 4, maybe yourself, maybe Matisse, maybe Michaela, Max, whoever else, Eli.
That'd be really good, actually.
Yeah, get you guys all in and actually have a massive discussion. Michaela's just said quality pod, lads. Thank you, Michaela. Love it, man. Thanks heaps, James, and thank you everyone for joining. And until next time, see you later from the other side of the coin.